Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is intel. In other words, not just dreams and visions, but I've got some intel. So the question is intel saying that we're about to see massive arrests start? That's the question. All right, so first, a little bit of background. This is today's article from Benjamin Fulford. And it says one of my favorite poems, which goes like this: remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten. It goes on from there. But anyway, so the headline, remember the 5th of November. There's no ordinary election. We are literally fighting for our lives. I agree with that. He says the election taking place tomorrow, November the 5th, is no ordinary event, as most of us are aware. It is interesting to note November the 5th is the date of the gunpowder plot to blow up the entire English government. I wonder if that's why they hold elections on November the 5th. The elite hoping they can destroy the governments of the world, put them in charge. The last of the man arrested for that plot is Guy Fawkes, is now a symbol of resistance against the Khazarian mafia. That's what he calls the deep state. I call them the Moloch and Baal worshippers. We understand that Donald Trump is far from perfect, but he is the only alternative we now have for the American people. Trump personally called us this weekend to say, if Kamala Harris wins this election, America is finished. He also warned that if Kamala Harris wins, there's going to be a civil war. Now, that's the point I'm trying to get to. In other words, so what if they're cheating again? What if they announce that Kamala's won? Do you think Trump is just going to sit back and do nothing? I don't think either side is going to sit back and do nothing. They're going to be doing something. The question is, what's going to happen? Let me go on. The U.S. we're referring to here is a member of the Secret Service force who is in regular contact with this writer and other members of the White Hat Alliance. He says Trump has 1 million men at his disposal, including the military and National Guard. I've got an article later on in today's program that confirms that, but throws a different light on it. Let's keep going. So who's going to fight against them? The KM have been building up an army of illegal immigrants, paid Black Lives Matter, etc. mercenaries, and of course the 1 million or so Satanists in the U.S. They also control many, if not most, billionaires, trillionaires, and politicians. These people have been torturing, killing hundreds of thousands of children every year. That's a key. Hundreds of thousands of children every year, and they know they face the death penalty if they lose. So this election that is happening now today as you're watching this, if you're watching on Tuesday, it means that if Trump wins, a bunch of bad people see justice. If Trump doesn't win, it means the good people go deeper into bondage, I guess is the word I'd use. Let's go on, though. I think that the prophecies are saying we need to be looking for 4 things if we want to have an idea of when the suitcase nukes go off, and that is the point I'm trying to get to today. Are we looking at a new financial system about the same time Trump assumes control, about the same time massive arrests start, about the same time there's a big victory celebration and the suitcase nuke goes off? Now, if you watched the last program, it was confirming more about that, but I'm going to move on. Which, by the way, if things fall apart, having some of these, there's 5 of these. This is a little card about the size of a credit card that you can break apart to use should, or maybe I should say, when the electronics, when the credit cards fail. Also, if you have an IRA, 401k, do yourself good by calling 800-200-GOLD and just say, okay, here's my situation. Am I okay? They might say, yeah, you're in good shape. They might have a suggestion. 800-200-GOLD. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't hurt. There's no obligation to do anything. 800-200-GOLD. All right, let's go on. Now, this is important. Top center, look first where it says the date, December 20th, 2017. Why is that important? If you look over to the left, it says January 20th, 2017. That was the day that Trump was, a couple of days after January 20th was the day Trump was sworn in. And then 12 months later, this was an executive order entered into the Federal Register, as you can see. And what does it say? I, President Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, because of the human rights abuse, in other words, the human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking, things like that, he gave the military, read it, okay? He gave the military authority to arrest and try people that do two things, if they're corrupt or if they're doing human abuse. It goes on to tell you more about it. If you want to read it, you can do that. But that's proof that what I'm about to say is accurate. Okay, now let's go on. I've read this before. 11/11/2019, Trump was about to get on his helicopter and leave. He was absconded by a bunch of reporters, as he always was. He says, I think in light of all the things going on, you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the commies of the world, all the bad things that went on, it's called the swamp. I caught them all. What's he saying? Is he saying that this is 2 years after this? Okay, this is 2017, this is 2019. This is 2 years after he's released the military to start investigating and start doing what they call sealed indictments. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on. Nobody else could have done it. Then of 9/7/24, speaking of Mosley, Wisconsin, he said this. With your vote this election, their lying, cheating, thieving, hoaxing, and plotting will come to an end. What's he saying? It's going to come to an end. We're going to cash out corrupt political class. We're going to restore our republic, and we're going to drain the swamp, and we're going to do it once and for all. We're going to get it done. What's he saying? Then on his True Social, it says a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles. What's he saying? He's saying that it allows him to have the powers of a king. Like Nebuchadnezzar, Bible says that whom he would he slew, whom he would he lifted up, whom he would he put down, whom he would he destroyed. So he's saying that under certain circumstances, he can be given the power that would be needed to clean up our nation. Then he's interviewed by this guy. He says in the interview, they're going to be held accountable. Is he saying that massive arrests are coming? You're going to gain the trust back of the American people within the government. And are we going to see anybody held accountable? This is Ryan. Trump's answer was they're going to be held accountable. They've got to be held accountable. What they're doing, they're destroying this country. They're crooked people. They're dishonest people. They're going to be held accountable. Then if you want to read this, it says the same thing. Again, another Truth Social push. Now, Stan, what makes you think that these people are really going to be arrested? Go to this website, bad-boys.us. Now on 9/12, it says 457,562 sealed indictments still remain. Some have been served. Then I checked it 11/3/24. Now it's up to 470. Okay, so look, 457 up to 470, and it continues to climb. And there's more to it. There's 146 pages listing specifically how many people from what area of the country have sealed indictments. What's a sealed indictment? It's an arrest warrant. But it's sealed because they don't want to turn the light on, then all the cockroaches flee. Speaking of fleeing, it's official. The wealthy have begun to flee the U.S. ahead of the election day. Do you think they know what is going on? You bet they do. Wealthy Americans are making plans to leave the United States in a run-up to Tuesday's election, with many fearing political and social unrest regardless of who wins, according to the immigration attorneys. Attorneys and advisors to family offices and high-net-worth families said they're seeing record demand for clients looking for second passports or long-term residences abroad. Okay, you just can't get into a plane or helicopter and go to another nation. You got to make arrangements. They say these folks by the apparently thousands, I don't know, maybe millions, are making arrangements to flee. He says, we've never seen the demand like we see it now. Going on in the article, the number of Americans making plans to move abroad is at least 30% over the last year. The number of Americans hiring him for possible moves overseas has roughly tripled over the last year. See, I think they not only have the true polls that show Donald Trump is winning by a landslide, but they also have time machine, they also have looking glass, they also know those things that are coming. They know about this executive order. They know what he's doing. Now, just because Fox News hadn't told you doesn't mean it. 53% of American millionaires say they're more likely to leave the U.S. after the election, no matter who wins. 64% of the millionaires between 18 and 29 saying they were very interested in seeking so-called golden visas through a residency by investment program overseas. What's going on? Let's go on. Let me make you laugh. 12 hours ago, Russia shut down gas supplies to Poland. Okay, how's this relate with the rest? Because this relates to our financial situation falling, the dollar falling. You read the article if you want to. But it's another thing saying the dollar is going to fall, which is one of the things we're looking for. Russian Foreign Minister, U.S., Moscow, on brink of direct conflict. What's going on here? Well, you see, the elite know they don't have a military. The Molochs don't have a military, but they control a lot of militaries. So the way that they can threaten people in high places in America is do things in America that would anger the Russian bear to the point to where the Russian bear would attack and destroy America, and eventually I think that's what's happening. But this is a threat. These are the Khazarian Mafia, the deep state, the international bankers, whoever you want to call them, threatening, saying, if you don't let us rule you, remember they told Benjamin Fulford, we have ruled this planet for thousands of years, we'll destroy it rather than give it up. This is them saying, you let us rule, you let us do what we want to do, you let us kidnap children and rape them and kill them and eat them, you let us do what we want to do, you let us rule you or we will kill you. That's what this is all about. Let's go on. EU Commission urges citizens to stock up on emergency supplies. This article says that they cannot protect the people for at least 72 hours in an emergency. They're saying all of EU needs to have at least 72 hours, at least 3 days of emergency supplies, and then maybe, just maybe, the government can come and help them after the 72 hours. Why would they say this? Because they know what's coming. And that's what the article says too. He says, war breaking out or another major emergency, a minimum of 72 hours in the event of an emergency should be held. Stockpiles, food, drinks, medicine, flashlight, battery-powered radio, which, by the way, you can go to sat123.com, get you one of these. That's a satellite phone. So even if the local cell network goes down, or maybe your local cell phone gets fried, okay, my cell phone right here, this should work up to the satellites. Sat123.com, sat123.com. They got all kinds of things up there. Promo code PROPHECY gets you a discount, and it helps your Prophecy Club. Okay, so stockpiles of food, drinks, medicine, flashlight, battery-powered radio. I believe that's why they're telling people to stock up. They know war is coming. I don't know if it's coming November the 5th or 6th. I don't know if it's coming this year. I don't know if it's coming in January. I don't know when it's coming. But I'm pretty confident it's coming. Leslie said to me last night as we were watching TV, she said, do you think all of this stuff is really, really coming? And I said, well, the only thing he's told me is coming is a series of sophisticated explosions. So that's the only thing he's spoken to me. I said, but there's enough people that are credible. I have to say, yeah, it's coming. But we don't know when, and we shouldn't just accept it. We need to continue to pray against it, to pray that it'll stop, or at least be softened. We shouldn't just sit there and say, oh my goodness, it's coming. We should pray. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, they're not flesh, they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, which is why I'd recommend you go to prophecyclub.com, slide to the bottom, sign up for Fast Track to pray for Prophecy Club, Fast Gap to pray for America, or there's a third place, just sign up to just be in our general mailbox. Okay, let's go on. Now, this is rather interesting. Extremely sensitive. The photo is from Middle East as the sun set there Saturday. Now, I saw it last night on Fox News. They confirmed that Air Force B-52 bombers have been landing, and they said it is in Israel. Now, what does it say? He says the fact that a B-52 is no big deal, but the fact that it is Minot Air Force Base that it left from is a huge deal. When this aircraft landed, it was immediately placed in high security protocols, nuclear security protocols. This is only done with aircraft that have nuclear weapons on board. The United States has thus transported active nuclear weapons to the Middle East. They are there now. What does that mean? That means that if there was a question about whether Israel has nukes, that question should be removed. What is all of this saying? This is a civil defense tweet that was posted. Time for you to get a gun. Now, I'm not saying that. This is what U.S. Civil Defense News says. Very soon the day will come when the power goes out for food. Another reason you want to have something like this. Police will stop responding to calls and you will be alone, responsible for your own safety. It's time to get prepared while there is still time. Videos and pictures. Biden-Harris administration approves military use of lethal force on U.S. citizens. What's going on? This is from American Military News. And by the way, thank you very much for your emails. I got probably 5 emails telling me about this. So what's going on? So the Biden-Harris administration has now passed by Posse Comitatus, which was a law that said that the U.S. military could never be used against American citizens. With the stroke of a pen, our wonderful Biden-Harris administration has removed that. Now, does that mean Biden-Harris might be using the military against citizens? Yes, it does. But what it might be is that it turns and allows Donald Trump to use them in arresting the bad guys. Now, I don't know how this can turn out, but that's essentially what that's saying. The military can now be used directly against American citizens. You can read it if you want to. It tells you all about it. Under this directive, it become legal for the U.S. military to shoot and kill Americans who engage in political protest because they disagree with policies in the White House. Also, Terry Bennett, 10/13/24, says that the 3rd and 4th seals are now open. Well, what does that mean? All right, let's answer that. Revelation 6:1. This is the start of the tribulation, in my opinion. I memorized the book of Revelation. In other words, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive, worthy is the Lamb was slain to open the book and loose the seals there, because he was slain, is redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred, tongue, people, and nation, and has made us unto our God kings and priests. The only one that's qualified to open this book of judgment, this 7-sealed book, is Jesus, because he was slain. This is opening, or this is the start of the judgment of the 7 years. Now, 3 people say the 1st and 2nd seal are already open. And they say that the tribulation's already started. Matter of fact, Terry Bennett said it started October the 5th of 2022. Let's go on though. I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, that's the start of the tribulation, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, and one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him had a bow, and a crown was given to him. He went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, let me clear up a little question. There are people that say the white horse is the Antichrist. There's people that say the white horse is the Pope. The white horse is an angel of God. How do you know that? Because it says it right there. It says, and a crown was given to him. My question is, does God give crowns to the devil's servants? No, he doesn't. The devil might give them, but God's not going to give a crown to anything of the devil. Okay, that's the devil's job. So when it says white horse, he is set upon a bow and a crown was given to him, this is one of God's angels that God gives him a crown and sends him forth to bring judgment on the earth. That's what it's saying. So he went forth conquering and to conquer. When the first seal is opened, or if it has been opened, we should start seeing wars. Well, we saw war in Ukraine. We saw war in the Middle East. Let's go on. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." There went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. We've seen that. That they should kill one another, and to him was given a great sword. When he opened the third seal, now here's what Bennett says just happened. I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he had sat upon him, had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice from the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." What is that saying? I can answer that. What is the wheat? What's the difference between the wheat and the tares? The wheat sat in the church benches along with the tares. And remember the parable, they aren't separated until the very harvest. Then he sends the farmer into the wheat field to gather first the tares, bind them into bundles, cast them into the fire. So the tares are those that live among the wheat. They look like Christians, but they're not Christians. These are the people that live in the Christian nations that are not Christians. And then the barley. Who's the barley? Well, you go back to Leviticus 23, about verse 9, and the high priest was commanded to take a sheaf, which is a handful of the harvest. What's the first harvest? First harvest in Israel is always barley. It ripens faster than anything. So the first sheaf of barley represents Jews. So what it's saying, 1 measure of wheat to 3 measures of barley. That's saying, out of the people saved from the time this black horse is released to the end, it's going to say 3 out of the 4 will be Jews. Remember, the angel came to Dimitri, showed him his name in the book of life, which is a big book about the size of a table. And he said that when this book is filled, then he will open the Jewish book of life and complete the number in that book. In other words, there's a time coming when God's attention will turn from the Gentiles over to the Jews. And during the last days, 3 out of 4 of the people saved during those last days will be Jews. That's what it's saying. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked to behold a pale horse. His name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed with him. I don't have time to explain all that, but that's basically a great big war where a fourth of the world is killed in it. Now, here's my point. He says the third, which is the black horse, and the fourth, those seals have now been opened. Let me encourage you to go to empshield.com, promo code prophecy, get you one of these. Go to sat123.com, get you some kind of a satellite phone. A lot of things they have up there. Promo code, once again, prophecy. Go to 800-200-GOLD, get you some gold or silver. If you want some of these, you go to 844-771-1776. 844-771-1776. Okay, the very best offer we have ever had of the Prophecy Club is 40 books for a gift of $100. That is How Pre-Trib Won, Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, God's Warnings to America, Miss the Mark, and The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. I'll explain. As I've said many times, in 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. God showed me a secret door, the word first fruits, which is found in Leviticus and also Revelation, that links the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation, and perhaps for the first time, Revelation can be understood. One prophetic word said, "There's a lock. I've put over every word in the book of Revelation. I'm going to open it to you. It will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book." Secondly, I put together a collection of the very best prophecies from 32 years in Bible prophecy: Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldale, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and more in God's Warnings to America. Also, how do you talk to people about the mark of the beast, especially if they worship another god? Well, simple way is give them this book. It's a quick read, takes about 3 hours to read it, but if they'll read 2 or 3 pages, they'll probably read the book, and if they read the book, they will never take the mark of the beast. It explains both the mark of the beast and also the number of the name, and it has these pictures in the book. Finally, how pre-trib won. This book explains the truth about the rapture. It gives 4 foundations for the real truth about the rapture. It also answers 25 pre-trib questions, 1 for $20, each one of these typically, but don't do that. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets. The very best deal is go to prophecyclub.com and get the entire 40-book set for $100. I didn't cover every verse in the book of Daniel, didn't need to. I just covered the verses that has to do with us end-time saints. And it's called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, 1 for $20, 10 for $30, 20 for $50 at prophecyclub.com.